Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mike Urban. I am a local real estate agent here in Boston, Massachusetts. Been doing this for over 7 years. And in today's video, I want to talk to you about what is really happening in the housing market. And I've decided to make this video. I hesitated about making this video, but I wanted to just talk about really what is happening on a local level. Everywhere you look, even on local news stations, there's always some level of sensationalizing what is happening in the market, whether it be we're in a bubble. Once the Fed increases rates, the housing market is going to tank. 2024, the market is going to crash. All of these things, okay? And the fact is, real estate is local, okay? Yes, maybe on a national scale or a national level, maybe there hasn't been as much appreciation as there was during the peak of the market during the pandemic, okay? That is 100% true. But there are some markets, and especially here in Eastern Massachusetts, around the Boston, or even the Worcester area, that have just been still receiving mega appreciation, regardless of what you read, regardless of what is going on in the news or what they're trying to get you to click this, that, or the other thing. It's just crazy to me because really what it does is it affects the consumer and it leaves them with questions on what is happening in their backyard, in their local market, or in their hyper local market, which we'll talk about a little bit later in this video. So first of all, real estate is about supply and demand. Forget buyer's market, forget seller's market, okay? Supply and demand. When the Fed increased the rates back in April, May of 2022, everybody was on board with the market is gonna crash, there's a housing bubble that's gonna pop, all of these things are gonna happen. And what happened here in Eastern Massachusetts, okay? We saw over 10% plus appreciation for both single family homes and condos in the greater Boston area. Now, the commercial market has received some depreciation and the commercial market is being affected, but the residential market is still strong. Now, don't get me wrong. There is some markets that are going to be performing better than others, and that is a supply and demand issue. So whether you're looking to buy a home in 2024 or potentially sell your home in 2024, what you really need to look at is what is happening on a local scale, not only within your market, but also within the hyper local areas of your market. So take this for example. My wife and I, our two children, we live in a town called Stoneham, Massachusetts, okay? And within this town, there is multiple school districts. And depending on where you live in Stoneham, you could send your children to a specific school district, okay? So that raises the question, is one school district more desirable than the other, okay? Number one. Number two is one school district and the homes in that district more expensive than the other? And if you start to look at the data, you're going to find the answers, okay? And that's how it is in hyper local markets. There are really two or perhaps three things that control the real estate market in hyper local settings, okay? The first is going to be school district. And as I said here in Stoneham, depending on where you live in this town, you could send your children to a specific school, all right? That's number one. And that is a big one because schools control real estate, all right? If you follow my channel, a good school district is going to have low supply and high demand. Why? Because most people that are buying a house, if they do have children or they're planning on having children, guess what? They are parents looking to where they're going to send their kids to school. They're also budgeting for if they buy maybe a bigger or perhaps a more renovated or nicer home in a less desirable school district, they're trying to budget for if they send their children to private school. So that is how much school districts play the role in what a hyper local market is, okay? So for instance, we have the school system. That's number one. Number two is public transportation, all right? The closer you get to that, let's say radius, maybe a half a mile, 3/4 of a mile radius to public transportation, the commuter rail, the MBTA, not necessarily bus stops, the higher the prices are going to be, number one, and the higher the demand is going to be, okay? Now again, we're getting hyper local with this. These are the components that'll tell whether that market in that specific sector is either a buyer's market or a potential seller's market. The third is going to be walkability, all right? A lot of times people want to have a nice big home in a area where, you could go out of your home and you could walk to your grocery store, you could walk to a coffee shop, or you could go walk to get dinner. That is another major component, although not as major as school district and public transportation here. That is also a major component on whether the market or the hyper-local market there is a buyer's market or a potential seller's market. So let's talk about 2024 and what to do whether you're a buyer or seller, all right? Now, if you're a seller and you're living in a market where perhaps it isn't the best school district, you don't have public transportation, you need to find out whether when you bought your house is in a very desirable area. And as a matter of fact, if you've been living there for a long time, you may not even know that an area that you're living in, the hyper-local area, could have flipped from either a seller's market to a buyer's market or vice versa. So try to figure that out, and then you can position yourself in the market. My advice is to list in the springtime or just in the beginning, the very beginning of the springtime, in order to get the rush of buyers that are going to be out there. All right. But you need to make sure you're accurate with the data. You watch my channel, I talk about this a lot. You can't go looking at what your neighbor's house sold for or what the house 2 blocks over sold for. What you really need to look at is what the list price was on those. Yes, it could comp out your house for the sold price, but in order to get a very high offer in the market that we're in, you need to still list it at an aggressive price that is going to pull multiple offers to try to get you the least amount of contingencies on that offer. Now, I know if you're a buyer, you're probably like, Mike, don't say those things, but I'm just trying to provide as much value as I can to you guys, whether you are looking to sell or buy. Now, moving on to the buyers, all right, and this is a little bit more complicated. So using that same strategy, you need to reverse engineer what is going on in the market, all right, and figure out where you want to go. The number one component for a buyer in 2024 that I want you to focus on is location, all right? That is the biggest component here for real estate. Location is something you cannot change. You could pretty much change almost everything about a house, all right? But location is a huge deal. And depending on where you live, all right, not that I'm saying real estate is the best financial investment, because it is not. And we're going to talk about that in a future video. But at least buy somewhere where you're so happy with the location. Maybe the school districts are good enough for you and your family. Buy in a very, very good location, because if you do, you will receive very good appreciation on your purchase, especially if you're not selling for 5, 7, maybe up to 10 years, all right? But here's the thing, you need to differentiate between whether the market is a buyer's market or a seller's market, depending on the town, neighborhood, suburb that you're looking to buy in. And not only that, get hyper-local with it and figure out whether the specific area that you're looking is a buyer's or seller's market. Now, as I said earlier in this video, certain towns could have buyer's markets and seller's markets within their own town, okay? Just because it's one zip code. If one school district is substantially better than the other, guess what? That school district and the towns in that school district still may be a seller's market, and they may be pulling substantially higher prices than somewhere else. So if you're getting outbid in a certain area, try to figure out why that is happening. Usually it is a supply issue, okay? So you're looking for a house, you're looking in certain markets, all right? Make sure you could differentiate between if that local market is a seller's market or a buyer's market. Then take it a step further and start to research, well, I don't need to be close to public transportation, all right? Maybe I should buy something a little further out. Yes, the appreciation on your home will be greater if you do buy closer to public transportation. However, if you're looking for more a not necessarily bang for your buck type of deal, but you could get in somewhere where it's definitely less expensive than buying closer to public transportation, that is a great option. So the other thing you should consider if you're looking to buy a home in 2024 or a condo is not only figure out whether the market, supply and demand, stuff like that, but also figure out what is the best fit for you and your family, all right? Quality of life. I've been talking about that a lot as I get older. It's something that I'm very concerned with. Quality of life is a big deal for not only yourself, but also for your family, your children, whoever you may be living with, all right? Quality of life is a big deal. Don't sacrifice one thing for a better quality of life, all right? Make sure you're buying something that's within your budget and you could afford it, X, Y, and Z, but don't sacrifice quality of life. That is a very, very big deal. And as I said before earlier, real estate is a good financial investment. All right. You could build wealth through real estate. There's no doubt about it, but it's not necessarily the best financial investment. All right. It is a financial investment and it is a vessel, but it's not perhaps the best. So don't get too concerned with, your potential returns and all these crazy things, because yes, it's important. Don't get me wrong, but you're going to stress yourself out big time. All right. Don't sacrifice quality of life just to get a 0.02% higher return in one market versus another. All right. That's all I'm trying to say. Finally, the other thing, if you're a buyer as well, is you need to position yourself in the market where you know what other buyers are doing in the market. All right. If you go into this market and you think to yourself, all right, I'm going to offer 3 to 5% under the list price because that is what is going on the national level. I'm also going to elect every inspection that there is, and I'm also going to only put a little bit of money down. I'm also going to have an appraisal contingency. Look, you could do those things. You could do all of those things, all right? But you need to know what market you're doing them in. If you write the least desirable offer for a seller in a seller's market, guess what's going to happen? You're never going to buy a house. That is why you are where you're at right now, because you didn't do the things that were necessary when the market was going up. And guess what happened? Now you're still waiting for something to happen to the market, and now you're going to be buying at the potential peak of appreciation. All right. That is one last thing that I want to talk about. I'm going to do a future video on this. All right. So whether you're in a buyer's market, a seller's market, supply and demand. All right. Right now we're in a seller's market. So that means the prices of homes are continuously going up. All right. The sellers are riding that train where it's going up. Buyers are buying in a market where the market is increasing. Okay. So if you bought a year ago, today, you would have received close to 10% or potentially 10% appreciation for your single family home or condo in the Boston and or greater Boston area. Okay. That's a fact. But you hesitated a year ago because the rates were up, right? So if you wait for a buyer's market and you buy at the beginning, and nobody knows when the beginning, the end, what's going to be a buyer's market, especially because certain markets, hyperlocal markets, could determine different outcomes. You're going to be buying in a depressed market or a depreciating market, right? So if you buy at the beginning of a buyer's market and home prices are going down, right? Guess what's going to happen? In a year or so, and again, we're in Eastern Massachusetts, how much depreciation there's going to be on a local level, hyper-local level, is yet to be said. But even then, so if it's 3% or 4% depreciation year over year, it's going to be really hard to determine when to get into that market, just like it was hard to determine because we're in a seller's market. Like I said, if you bought a year ago, you'd have close to 10% appreciation today. So that is something that I want you to think about in terms of buyer's market or seller's market. In a seller's market, you're buying when the market is still appreciating. If you're buying in a buyer's market, the market is depreciating. So your investment the very next month, the very next 3 months is going to go down because you bought in a buyer's market. That's the way that it works, okay? And you cannot determine either way how low or how high something is going to go. And again, this is why I said real estate is a very strange financial investment. It's very hard to predict. Overall, real estate goes up, okay? But you need to be concerned with a couple of things, like how long you're going to be in the home, if you're going to stay there forever, if it's going to be a potential investment and you're going to rent it out, stuff like that. And we could help you figure all of those things out. Okay, so I have an actual major announcement. This is the first time I'm letting anybody know this, but I have a newsletter called The Boston Brief. We have over 1,000 subscribers already, and it is increasing on a daily basis. And what we decided to do with this newsletter is turn it into an entire website of information around Boston. All right. It has real estate information. It has things to do. All you need to do is go to thebostonbrief.com. You don't need to register. All the information is completely free. Obviously, if you want to register to our newsletter and get some daily insights from me, how I'm feeling, what is going on in the market, you very well can. The link will be in the description below. But this website is going to incorporate pretty much everything that is happening in the Boston and the greater Boston area. Things to do, places to take your kids, places to eat, and almost every single town. We're trying to build out a massive database. We have a lot of people working on this, and everything is not 100% accurate and everything is not 100% done. There are some placeholder values and stuff like that within the website. But check it out, thebostonbrief.com. I would love to get your opinion on it, what we should add, what we should subtract from there. And yep, that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Just remember to make an informed decision, stay educated out there, and if you need anything at all, please reach out. I would love to help you. Just want to say happy holidays to everybody. Thank you for helping me grow this channel. I've gotten so many clients from here. I've helped so many people. I've met so many families, and it's really nice to be able to guide people that find value in what I'm trying to do or what I'm trying to accomplish and get them from point A to point B in their lives. If you need anything, guys, please reach out. My name is Mike Urban, local real estate agent here in Boston, Massachusetts. Have a great day. Bye, everybody.